Safety hazard, responsibly on Firecliff Moreland, Firecliff side. Nice. This is what I don't like about sitting in one of these things.
Because this started, and I love this story, as a young prosecutor. Kamala Harris talked about going in that courtroom for the first time.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences. Like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Workers vote on their contracts, and Google's AI model is under scrutiny by the European Union. All right, starting with jobless claims. It inched up in the first week of September, according to a U.S. Department of Labor report released today. New jobless claims rose by 2,000 in the week ending September 7th. That brought the total number of new jobless claims for that week to 230,000. But while new jobless claims were up, the number of continuing claims fell. During the first week of September, there were over 43,000 fewer continuing claims compared to the week before. And the Department of Labor says the data shows layoffs are not ramping up significantly even as the labor market cools. And House Democrats are demanding President Biden take action. In a letter, they urged Biden to close a loophole in U.S. trade law, which that they say is being exploited by Chinese firms and fentanyl traffickers. The rule is called a de minimis. Under it, packages valued less than $800 are exempt from tariffs. That's if they're shipped from China directly to U.S. consumers. Critics saying that the de minimis rule fueled Shein and Temu's success in the U.S. An organization representing domestic U.S. manufacturers argue that firms including Shein are dodging tariffs using this loophole and have contributed to a U.S. plant's closure last year. Lawmakers say fentanyl traffickers are also exploiting the rule, using it to ship precursor chemicals from China. The rule was put in place to allow Americans to bring back souvenirs bought overseas duty-free, but retailers like Amazon and Walmart are also taking advantage of it. In 2020, de minimis imports rose to over $67 billion. And more woes for Boeing as it faces a possible strike. Factory workers in the Pacific Northwest are voting today on whether to support a work stoppage. Many workers in Portland and Seattle want higher wages and other improvements to their contracts. The issue revolves around a tentative deal Boeing offered workers on Sunday. Many employees were not happy with the deal, and some held marches in the Seattle area this week. And according to a financial securities provider, a 50-day strike could cost Boeing an estimated $3 billion. The last strike in 2008 cost Boeing nearly $100 million a day. The labor talks are a test for Boeing's new CEO, Kelly Ortberg. Boeing has almost $60 billion in debt and faces intense scrutiny from regulators after January's door plug blowout and previous accidents. Now, Google could...
I won't be surprised if we continue to see volatility. We know that October is often a worrisome month, and this year just will add to that because we're going right into the final days of the election. This election continues to look like it's a very close election, and so that just adds to Wall Street uncertainty.
As far as what happens after that, tax policy has emerged as a key focus.
A reduction in the corporate tax rate from 21% to 15% solely for companies that make their product in America.
That's one part of Republican candidate Donald Trump's plan, which Infrastructure Capital Advisors CEO Jay Hatfield likes.
Trump could be better for the economy for really 2 reasons. First, tax policy. He's trying to cut corporate taxes, which is very positive for earnings and stocks. It's not going to increase the capital gains tax. And he's likely to deregulate a lot of industries, so like energy and banking. So at the margin, he would be positive for stocks.
We will pass a middle-class tax cut that will benefit more than 100 million Americans.
Harris wants to give the middle class a break while raising corporate taxes. Goldman Sachs analyst said in a note that her plan would cut earnings earnings at S&P 500 companies by 5%, while Trump's proposal would boost them about 4%, though the bank said the economy would fare better overall if Harris won, as new government spending would offset the impact of higher corporate taxes. The Democratic presidential candidate also has proposed raising the capital gains tax. Morgan Stanley said in a note that the correlation between capital gains taxes and stock market performance is statistically insignificant, but the tax debate could lead to some volatility. Regardless of what the candidates propose on taxes, the winner will face a major decision because of the expiration next year of tax cuts signed into law by former President Trump.
The 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expires at the end of 2025. And this is part of the reason both candidates are talking a lot about taxes. Congress is going to have to decide what to do, whether to change that act or renew it. And it sort of doesn't matter as much what the presidential candidates say as much as what Congress decides.
And who controls Congress will play a significant role in how this plays out, and potentially how the market does overall.
What's really most important for a positive outcome is to have Congress different than the president. So if we have a Republican president and we have a Democratic Congress, Wall Street has traditionally done very well. Likewise, with a Democratic president and a Republican Congress, markets have done very well. When a single party dominates both Congress and the president, the markets have not done well historically.
Right now, the battle for control of Congress is as tight as the...
We're rooting for team not going back. We're rooting for Harris and Walz tonight. Absolutely. I'm supporting President Trump. Trump should, but just because she's, I don't know. I hope she performs better than she does other places.
I hope Vice President Kamala Harris comes out on top.
I think she's going to make a good case for her presidency, and I wish her all the luck because she's getting my vote.
Whatever happens, there'll be a very big changing point for the nation. I'm excited to see, I think both got very, very chance of winning, though. I feel the same way. I'm going in tonight just kind of seeing what both have to say, and I don't know if tonight will be the decider, but tonight will definitely be a big part of my choice in November.
And what are some of the top issues you hope the two candidates to address tonight?
Well, of course, there's always the economy, there's the immigration, there is our place in the world.
Who's going to maintain our democratic society here in America? I think that's very important to all of us.
I'm not really sure. I'm just got to wait and see what happens tonight. The economy, the border, spending too much money overseas instead of spending it at home, taking care of the veterans and homeless. The average mortgage was like $1,800 when Biden took office. Now it's like $3,200. Groceries are through the roof. I don't know how people live.
Well, I'm pro-life, and there's 10 commandments. Thou shalt not kill. A mother is special. A child is a gift. And us men in this world need to take responsibility.
Whichever president becomes the new one, I would definitely like to see them try and unite both sides, play both fields a little bit. Fiscally, I hope, taxes go down, prices for groceries go down. I hope, I can, afford to live in America for a little bit longer,
Coming up, House lawmakers pass a bill to crack down on
a stronghold. And once you blaze a trail in any industry, it's very difficult to get in front of the leader. And they know that. So they're controlling the market and they're controlling what's out there. And if you want to build in China, great. We'll be thrilled to have your plan. But here's the thing, Don. You have to give half of the ownership up to the Chinese government.
Jerry, in light of tonight's debate, what policies would you like to hear to protect the U.S. from China's influence in the automotive industry?
Well, I want to hear the truth. And the truth is what I hear is coming from President Donald Trump, where he's talking about he's going to put tariffs on not allowing Chinese vehicles in here because it will destroy our market like it did with Germany. But also he wants to allow people to make choices.
Shadowed by Beijing's agents after fleeing China, a labor camp survivor says Chinese embassy officials have been stalking her in the Netherlands. Over a decade ago, she made waves in China for revealing human rights abuses in a documentary. And a warning, some viewers may find this content disturbing. Here's a closer look.
A year after escaping China, Liu Hua said she was being followed by a Chinese agent while on her way to a center for refugees in the Netherlands in April.
He said he was from the Chinese embassy and said, "Come with me back to the embassy. If not, head to the second floor of the waiting area of the train station." I told him, "Your people are up there waiting for me. Why would I walk right into a trap?"
While at the refugee center, she got a call from someone claiming to be a Chinese police officer who tried to convince her to return to China.
If I hadn't left, I would have starved to death.
Liu began to face targeting over a decade ago after she was featured in a documentary about human rights abuses she suffered inside a forced labor camp in northeastern China.
They struck our breasts and private parts with electric batons, inserted batons into our private parts to shock us, and filled them with red pepper powder.
Liu was first thrown in the labor camp for reaching out to Chinese authorities, demanding justice for wrongdoings she faced in China. While imprisoned, she suffered similar tortures to those inflicted on jailed practitioners of Falun Gong, a spiritual meditation practice. Liu witnessed the torture of a practitioner named Wang Jingfeng. The documentary that Liu shared her story in is called Women on the Ghost's Head. It sent shockwaves through China after its release. Related reports were censored inside the country. Its director, a freelance photographer for the New York Times, was arrested twice. Liu has been abducted multiple times since.
Is the Communist Party that fragile? Could it collapse just because of a few words I said in the documentary? It's just exposing its own hypocrisy. The CCP claims China has the best human rights record in the world, but people get jailed for speaking out. What kind of country is that? It's turned into a living hell, a giant socialist prison.
Liu has applied for asylum in the Netherlands.
In August of 2024, the New York Times published a series of stories alleging abuse within Shenyang Performing Arts. The arts company, whose mission is to revive traditional culture through classical Chinese dance, is now accused of coercive practices. But many Shenyang artists have spoken out against the articles, saying the paper misrepresents them. So what's the real story? The Epoch Times' Yanni Akalik sat down with those who are most affected to hear their stories. Take a listen.
I remember that night, we sat down and started writing the experiences that they've been through over the years, well into like midnight. How could this be happening? Like an environment that has given us so much and helped us grow so much. Like, why is it getting tarnished like this? We really wanted to speak up, and we wanted to, share our stories.
You have a sense of what elite training looks like.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
There's this New York Times article that's come out that has painted an extremely different picture. How do you react to that? From my experience, it's quite the opposite.
I think it's unjust. You have this wonderful group of people with personalities and their interests, their hobbies.
Since I've been here, like I got hope for myself.
Jumping is easy, right? They watch you, but getting up, you watch
jumping up.
No, you watch them. Because
What's the same for
steps.
I think we're done here.
Actually, pretty crazy.
By persuading her not to jump from the bridge. The incident was caught on surveillance camera. We have that and more when we come back.
Together, you and me, agreeing to disagree, but still live in harmony. The dream that gives hope to us is as strong as it ever was. United we stand, divided we fall. That's my America. We are brothers. I'm not my brother's killer, but I am your keeper. We are sisters. Greatness of our nation starts in the homes of its people. What's in your house? We are family. Together, you and me, still live in harmony. The dream that gives hope to us is as strong as it ever was. United we stand, divided we fall. That's my America. United we stand, divided we fall. That's my America. From sea to shining sea, I believe in God, I believe in you, and I believe in we.